So welcome to this session, Be Your Own Therapist, or welcome back. I would love to start with some opening prayers. So Louis, if you want to share the opening prayers, then we can recite them. And let's do a moment of silence and then finishing that with the opening prayers. So let's just take a moment to bring ourselves present on our seat. Notice, feel our sit bones on the seat, our feet probably on the floor. Notice your breathing. And check your own motivation for being here today, or joining this session. And then let's recite the refuge and bodhicitta prayer. It might be best to mute yourself, otherwise there will be a lot of noise. Right. And then we can recite the prayers out loud. Let's do it in English. If you want, you can put your hands in front of your chest, fold them. Let's do them 3 times. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. So as we speak these words, let's also feel them in our hearts. Feel that wish to develop our highest and fullest potential, to bring more peace and happiness in our own lives and in our surroundings, eventually benefiting all beings. May this session contribute to that. Thank you. So, as we reflect on our arriving here, you may think of your own personal reasons. Maybe since this is being your own therapist, you may have your own specific parts of life you may want to apply these methods to. So a little bit about me. So I'm here in Findhorn Eco-Village community in Scotland. I've been involved with the Dharma for about 35 years now, but I'm still learning. I've been in Kopan, met Lama Zopa, and met many of the teachers. Venerable Robina is one of them. And we actually also started a Buddhist group here about 10 years, 12 years ago now, but it's very small. But I teach here, I teach Discovering Buddhism, and we actually just had a little mini retreat, a mini Green Tara retreat over the weekend. I do little mini retreats on Zoom, so that was cute. So yeah, that's a little bit about my involvement with the Dharma, and I was invited to do this Be Your Own Therapist. So I'm honored to do that. Today so anything you want to say before we go in? Anything, because I would love to also, you want to mention some of your reasons to join today? very open to listen to you as well. Any follow-up from last week? Some of you, Erica, you were here last week, and Louis as well. Don't know if there are any follow-up from last week's sessions you want to share here. You don't have to, but in case there is, no. So then I would like to say a little bit. I'm using a book that's called How to Meditate by Kathleen MacDonald, or she's ordained now for many years, Venerable Sangye Kadro. And she has a little teachings on dealing with negative energy. I actually want to take that as a little bit of an introduction. And then later on also I'd like to do a meditation, like a reflection, where you can actually apply some of these methods. So as we're, some of you may be doing meditations or doing courses, and as we are involved with Buddhism and with meditations, we develop more mindfulness and more awareness of our own inner states, because as Buddhist practitioners, we are inner beings. So we focus, we have, of course, some focus on our outer life, on our jobs, on our family, our kids, all the things we do in life, and that's good. Yet a lot of, in Buddhism, we actually specifically focus on our inner life, our inner processes. So, and as we develop that, as we go listen to teachings or do meditations, or do practice, do study, we increase our sensitivity towards, or we increase our awareness towards our inner states. And I think sometimes it might even look like, we might have more awareness about our inner processes. That can be about our sense of joy or a sense of peace or sense of happiness or our compassion. It can also that we become more aware of our negative, what's called negative emotions. And they're negative because they are harming us, not because they're inherently negative. But our states of anger or frustration or jealousy or pride or attachment or all these things. So they're not negative because anger or attachment in themselves is negative. They're negative because they harm us. They harm our state of mind. And when we act on for example, our anger or jealousy, when we say things or do things fueled by those negative states of mind, they can also harm others. So it's a matter of, of seeing them. It's not that desire or anger are inherently bad, or that we should feel ashamed to have them, because we are human beings. We have anger, or we have attachment, or we have jealousy. And until we're fully enlightened, I assume we don't. I can't speak from experience because I'm not there. But we all have these things that come up. I'm here just in the middle of a family situation, although I'm in Scotland and my family is in the Netherlands. So over WhatsApp and whatever, we have issues to deal with. And I can see, things about looking after mom and this and that. Things are happening and I can see my own mind. I become agitated, and how could one of my sisters do something like this or say something like that? And then I think, oops, I'm going to be your own therapist. So I spent this afternoon actually practicing some of the material in relation to my sisters and my family situation. And that's actually quite interesting to see how we can reduce our anger, because an angry thought, doesn't make us happy, doesn't make me happy, doesn't make my sister happy, doesn't do any good to the situation of, who's going to look after my mom's garden. That's our issue at the moment. Mom has a new garden, and who is going to deal with the garden? So hot topic compared to world situations and the Ukraine and climate crisis and whatever. Is probably not a big thing, but suddenly in our family it's a big thing. My hand is going up. I don't know why. So this is my little issue today. You may have your issues or topics that are up today. So it's a matter of seeing these things when they arise and seeing them as delusions and not make them totally fixed, but they are distorted conceptions that paint actually a false picture of reality. And they are negative because they lead us to unhappiness and confusion. So I'll just do a little bit from her writing. I find that Venerable Sanchikado has a beautiful way of explaining these things. So like all our experiences, negative emotions, they are impermanent. They don't stay there forever. Sometimes when we are in them, it might seem like that is the whole world. It is all, difficult or complicated or unfair or, whatever. It seems like very big. Yet sometimes when we look back at things, they're like, oh, did that happen last week or last year? All these emotions, they come and go. They arise and then disappear. Although while we're in the middle of it, it can be very big. Also, they're not fixed, so they are impermanent and they're not fixed or concrete. Again, sometimes when we're in them, it seems, when I'm angry. Well, yet when I'm working a little bit with that anger, it can become more fluid or a bit more transparent. So all these negative emotions, they are simply mental energy, just like love and joy, whose nature is clear and pure. So sometimes we might feel overwhelmed by them and doubt if we ever can get beyond them or through them or let them go, because they really seem to take over our mind and take over control of our inner sense of peace. But don't worry, like delusions, they come and go and they move. All these delusions, they are not you. We have delusions, we have anger, we have attachment, we have jealousy or pride or depression or fear or anxiety. All of that, we have these things, but they are not us. So also usually, I'm going to focus a bit on anger today, but so all these emotions, usually we either completely identify with them and say this anger or this jealousy or that, that seems to be, that seems to fill our whole space. And we have the feeling that, we need to do something about it. We need to speak it out, or we need to, attack someone or blame someone or need to do something about it. Or the other extreme is like to push it under the carpet and go like, let's just discuss and not discuss it and think, pretend everything is fine and not discuss the tricky topic. Pretend this anger or pride or jealousy, it's not there. And say, no, I'm a nice person. I'm a Buddhist practitioner. I'm not angry. It's not there. So in none of these two extremes are actually helpful. So what we do in Buddhist practice, we actually look at finding a middle way, not to express them, because there are some points of view that says when you have an anger, you need to express it. In the West, some people think like that. When you have anger, you need to get rid of it by expressing it, and then that's it. Buddhism doesn't agree with that, because expressing it often can result in harming others. When we express things with our anger, with our jealousy, we can blame others, we can actually see things in an unclear way, and we create more problems. I mean, check this out. Check this out in your own life. Has that happened when you have spoken or acted in anger, or when you've seen others doing that? How useful is that really on the long term? Maybe for a moment it's refreshing, like well, I said it all and done. But then, often it has consequences when you attack others with anger. Like I say attack, but when you say things with anger, other people might retaliate to you. You get a whole, you end up in a conflict, in a world war, things like that. So then, what are the ways that we can use to actually deal with it? So, because Buddhism has a lot of methods to actually deal with these, all these different situations. So just like in our inner, in our outer world, we often tend to divide the world in friends and enemies. Friends are people we like, and enemies are people we don't like or find difficult. Yet in our own inner experience, we often tend to go either to aversion or attachment. That is, in a way, the friend and the difficult person that are outside us. In our inner space, we have a tendency to either like something or dislike something. And when we like something, there's a tendency of attachment to arise. I like this. I see, I don't know, a cup of coffee and I like it. I want it. Or I see, here we still have strawberries. I see strawberries. I like strawberries. I want strawberries. So we have that sense of attachment. And then we have the sense of if attachment doesn't get what it wants, there is anger. So if there is something we want and we can't get it, then there can be anger or irritation or blaming or judgment or aversion or criticism or hatred. So there is a whole range of them. So I just summarize them by calling them anger. So yeah, and then there is even a root cause of all that, of all these difficult emotions. That is in Buddhism described as an incorrect sense, an incorrect idea of how we exist, and an incorrect idea of how our surroundings exist. So the root cause of a negative emotions is the false notion of an inherent, graspable, solid existence that we label on everything, on our surroundings, on the strawberries, on the issue with my mother's garden. Like, my sister has a certain idea of how the garden should look like. And, and I have another idea of how we need to relate as sisters. So you can have an issue on that based on these assumptions. So how do we actually then work with that? So Buddhism has a lot of skillful ways to actually deal with all the various negative emotions. So I would love to go through them a little bit, and it might help if you think of a current difficult situation where you're in. So I thought today I'll discuss anger. So that's in a way the most dangerous emotion, because with anger we can have when we express our anger in a way that is usually harmful, it can have a huge effect. So I want to invite you to think of a recent situation where you experienced anger. Something that happened, I don't know, today or this week or, recently. So something that either is still fresh or maybe has just happened that you're still remembering. So do you all have a situation that you can think of that generates anger, aversion, irritation, blaming, any of those? See, can I see a thumb up? Like, do you have a situation or not? Yes, everyone has something. That's good. I'm glad. Because, with these negative emotions, you can actually work on them. So in Buddhism, they say the symbol of enlightenment. So in Buddhism, the purpose of Buddhism is to get enlightened. The symbol of enlightenment is this beautiful, gorgeous lotus flower, totally white and pure and serene and gorgeous and wonderful. So that's the symbol of enlightenment. That's what we want. Yet the roots of these lotus flowers, they're in the mud. They're deep down in the darkness, in the slimy, sticky stuff. And that is in a way a symbol of our stuff, our emotions, our especially our disturbing emotions. So if you have an issue to work with, that's good, because then we can actually, work with them. So I want to invite you to take a moment to actually, notice again how you sit here. You may even want to close your eyes if you want. Notice your sit bones on your seat, your breathing. And just be with your current conflict or difficult situation. Remember the last time something happened and how you feel about it or felt about it. The feeling of irritation or anger or criticism, blaming, some combination of those. I call it anger. So one way to deal with that is to turn your attention within and investigate the I that is angry. So analyze where and how it exists. If you have had any teachings on emptiness, apply any understanding of emptiness that you have. So where is this I that is feeling angry? Is it in your body? So check your body, your feet, your hands, your nose, your shoulders, your abdomen, your head or your heart, anywhere else. Just check if there is a part of your body where you feel that anger. Or maybe it's outside your body. Maybe it's in your mind, your consciousness. And then check your mind, check your consciousness. Is there any part? Your consciousness is an ongoing stream of consciousness moments. When did it start? Is it completely one with your consciousness, with your mind? You can also investigate the object of your anger, the other person or situation. Does it really exist in the solid and definite way that it often appears to you? And just check it out. And now try to see this situation as if it is a dream, or maybe as if it is a movie. Although it seems very real at the moment, from your point of view, at a later time, maybe tomorrow or next week, next year, it may appear distant and faded, just a memory. So that is one way of dealing or exploring any conflict situation, to use it to have a deeper understanding of emptiness. And any understanding of emptiness we can apply to this conflict situation. So just check, does that make a difference at all compared to a few minutes ago? Maybe, maybe not. Another way to look at a conflict or at anger is to remember cause and effect. You may have had teachings on cause and effect or karma. So if someone harms you in any way, by being unfriendly or being abusive, cheating or stealing, taking your belongings, whatever they do. And it seems initially that it has nothing to do with you. How could they do this to me? So the invitation is to check again. So according to Buddhism, any misfortune that comes our way is the result of any unskillful or harmful actions that we have done either in this life or in a past life. Either knowingly or unknowingly, either with an intention to harm or even without realizing it. According to Buddhism, we reap what we have sown. Again, then check and apply this to your current situation. Using this working hypothesis of karma, of cause and effect. Just explore your current issue, your current conflict, the situation or person you're angry about. Is it possible that somewhere in your past you have created a cause for this to happen? Just check. Just consider that possibility. So there's no need for any guilt, because that is not a helpful quality to have. But we can use this even to feel any remorse for anything we may have done to contribute to this current situation. So when we can accept problems in this light, we simply won't feel the need to be so angry. And then a third way, the final method I want to just give for dealing with people who hurt you. For a moment is to put yourself in your place, in their place. And try to see the situation from their point of view. What is driving this person to behave in this way? Is their state of mind peaceful and happy? Or confused and miserable and uncontrolled? They are human just like you, with problems and worries, trying to be happy and make the best of life. Recall your own experiences of being angry and unkind to get a better idea of what they are going through. Also consider that if they continue to be angry, what will the outcome be? Will they be happy and satisfied? Or are they just creating more trouble for themselves? If we really understand the confusion that the other person is in, we won't feel like reacting with anger. Now again, check your situation, your conflict or difficult situation, your own feelings of anger from when we started 10, 15 minutes ago to now. Is that still the same or has that shifted a little? Just check. And then bring back any insights, any awareness. If you want to bring yourself back to your body, breathe a little deeper. And if you want to open your eyes, return your attention to the room and the here and now. So I would love to hear a little from you, like I think you want to share about your experiences, what happened in the meditation. So we just want to invite you, if you want to speak and share a little, like what happened or any questions about this, or please let me know. You can wave and just unmute yourself. And we can be quite informal here. How did this go? Yes, Erica.
Yeah, so recently I had a conflict with a person, and we were both irritated and angry. And I think when you said to look from a movie perspective, like almost like if observing the situation from afar, and also trying to understand the other person's where the other person is coming from. Maybe the confusion, you said confusion, right? And the confusion that the other person was with the whole situation, feeling confused. And so it wasn't it was only normal for the person to feel angry. And I felt like I had a better understanding of the situation better than the other person. The other person didn't know, all the reasons of why we were in the situation. And I felt like I should I should be more compassionate, and it was, even though it was like a I wasn't in control. It was more like a natural reaction too. But it shouldn't be like I should have, seen things from a different perspective. And if I did, I wouldn't feel angry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like this person, for some reason, had could have helped me in a way that the person didn't help me, and I felt a little angry, and then I understood where the person was coming from, why the person. It was not that he didn't want to help me. It was because it was so difficult for the person to understand all the things that were going on. And so yeah, and it felt like I should have seen things in a different perspective, and trying to understand the other person's point of view.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, that's great. That sounds like a great piece of work to do, and to shift the situation. Yeah, so well done. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, that's important. And I think the more we do this, the more easy it becomes. The more easy it becomes. So if we, do this more often, then we can actually, it's possible to do this type of things, like something at the end of the day, to say, okay, let me just check, how did my day go? And is there anything, that was a hiccup? So before going to sleep, to actually deal with the situation, that's a healthy thing to do. Another is to actually do it, at the same moment, like, you're in the middle of a tricky situation. But that's more difficult to then at the same moment go like, how can I use any of these techniques here? Usually in the beginning, well, many years, it can be helpful to actually put some time aside, like we do now here on the Tuesday, or in your evening, if you have a meditation practice in your evening, to include it in there. But I know that there's a story of a Tibetan Lama who was traveling, and they were traveling by horse through Tibet with a whole group of people. And it seems like from time to time, he jumped off his horse, and someone was traveling with them. I said, why is that man jumping off his horse all the time? And then the attendant said, like, well, he jumps off his horse every time he has a negative state of mind. He jumps off his horse and then, does some inner work or some purification immediately, not waiting even to the evening, but immediately when there is a negative thought going through his head, immediately dealing with it. So that's what highly evolved yogis do. Mere mortals, I usually tend to wait till the evening, till I have a moment of quiet. But it's just to add on to your story. But thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Any other? Yes, Louis.
Yesterday I got a call from a friend who I used to babysit their daughter when she was like about 6 or 7. Sometimes I walked her to school for a whole school year and things like that. And she told me that she's 13 now, that she tried to commit suicide. Wow. And the reason was because her father is an alcoholic, and he's a mean alcoholic, and I guess her mother insinuated that that's why she tried to commit suicide. Mm-hmm. And I immediately got very, very, very angry at him. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And But then, my father was an alcoholic. And I also know that my father was a very nice man until he got drunk.
Right, yeah.
And that years later, after he died, I found out what sort of drove him to become one.
Right.
And I tried to apply that same thing to this person. And it was a little bit successful, but it's still,
Mhm,
it helps. It's just eased it a little bit so I could get some distance.
mhm.
And the other thing, and that I did before the meditation, but in the meditation, I started thinking about when you were talking about how when bad things happen to us, the karmic relationships and stuff.
Mhm.
And I realized that one thing, her father being an alcoholic, contributes to it, but that's not the sole cause of what happened. There must be other emotional issues.
Yeah.
And then I remembered that she's 13, but since she's been about 10 years old, she's transgendered. She wants to be a boy.
Okay.
She's too young to take the hormones and things like that. But the school she went to supported her, and they allowed her to use the restroom for the staff, and things like that. And there was a little support group. And then our governor, in his great wisdom, got rid of all that. There's no more safe spaces. There's no more support groups. And I think school just started at the beginning of this month. And I think that it's just so overwhelming to actually be there and know that people hate me because of who I am, and losing all that support. And I think that had a very large effect.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So as to what I can do about it, I don't know.
No.
You
No.
know?
No.
It's just that I can see that being angry at him isn't going to solve anything.
No. No. No.
It can't change a thing.
No. No. So that's in a way why, if we use that's the theory. If we use these techniques to actually reduce our own anger, then, in a way, what is left? Because the other side of anger is actually wisdom. I think sometimes we are angry because, we want something. We think it should be different. But in a way, when, anger is called like a destructive or disturbing emotion. But when we get rid of the negative aspects of anger, then in a way the like pure wisdom remains, where there might be more space to actually do something or say something that can be of help. So that's but it's not easy. Sometimes we need to practice for a long time or be with a difficult situation for a long time. So yes, but thank you for bringing that example. Thank you for caring enough to bring it up.
The main thing I think for me about anger is that while you're angry, you can't think. You just feel it. There's no room for thoughts. There's no room to step back. You're just in it.
Yeah.
It's got a hold of you.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, wise words. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else? Annie, you want to share what happened to you, if you want? You need to unmute yourself.
Of course I have issues, but I'm in a unique situation where I just became semi-retired and I have a lot of time now to myself and not, I was a business owner. So I was dealing with employees and I found employees to probably be the hardest part, never clients. I love clients, but sometimes it's just better just to move on
Mhm.
and just realize, like you say, anger is, you can't think when you're angry, and just kind of step back from it and just say, we think different, and just move on.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because I find if I go on and then I keep studying, I can keep learning more instead of dwelling in the past.
Mhm. 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 Mhm.
And that's what I got.
That's what.
That's
Okay.
all I got.
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. That sounds in a way like the impermanence teachings, that things happen and then they move on, or they change, or something
Yeah.
else happens. Yeah.
I do think it's very important to wish a thing or a person to be well, and to
Mhm.
have compassion in saying it. But sometimes we just get stuck in things, and I see it over and over where people, and I've learned this through Buddhism, is that you create a story and then you just build on it, and it just gets enormous. Stop the story,
Mhm. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
let it go.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful technique to work with and to explore. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Because then, even when you mention it now, I call it, yeah, then something else happens and there is more space. Yeah. Mhm.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, and I have also had the opportunity to be with Robina,
Okay.
and she's and I've been in groups with her, and it's funny because she'll just call you on it, like, and I kind of think she's probably saying the same thing, is, well, just don't do that, or,
Mhm.
leave. I mean, she just
Yeah.
cuts to the chase.
Yeah.
Don't let it, and just move on.
Yeah.
And everyone sits there totally dumbfounded, and no one knows what to say, but she's right.
Yeah. 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 I mean, in a way, there's a lot of different methods to work with it. I just used a few of them now. There are still another 7, but I thought, okay, yeah, let's just do the first 3. Next
Mhm.
week we do a few others. But yes, there are a lot of different techniques to work with it and to deal with it.
Mhm.
The ones you mentioned are certainly valid ones. Yeah. Yeah. You never know what happens.
Oh,
We have a bit of
no.
echo. Hmm.
Oh, no. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, we don't. So,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I had my own little example here. Today, like an issue with family, with sister, and it was not a super, but it got me agitated. And then at the same time, I was preparing for tonight. So, like, dealing with difficult emotions and be around therapists. And kind of like, how am I going to do that? I can't show up at 5 o'clock for the session fuming again, with my sister issue. So I actually used all these methods. And it's interesting to see how that changes and how that shifts. And I managed to speak to her, but a bit more with wisdom, with compassion, with understanding her situation. I haven't figured out the karma thing yet, but it was helpful to actually deal with it. And the last message I got was that she actually found a solution for the original problem. So I kind of like, oh, that's good, because maybe because I created a bit more space and made a helpful suggestion instead of going like, why did you do that? And how could you, to actually create a bit more space and actually understand her difficulty as well. So, yeah,
is she taking care of your mom, or being a major
she has been
person?
the main caretaker for the last 21 years. And a year ago, she moved to the other end of the country. So now she still takes care, but now she is like 2 hours away instead of 10 minutes on the bicycle away. So it is all more complicated. So yes, and I'm in another country, and so it's a delicate situation.
I have
Mhm.
elderly parents with, Parkinson's and this and that, and I'm the only one. I'm the only one left, and it is really, really hard.
Mhm.
And I
Yes.
watch my husband, who has a sister who really takes care of his 94-year-old father, and he doesn't do very much.
Right.
And on the trend, men usually don't, the daughters do. But I just keep telling him, you should kiss her feet because you're not there every day.
Yeah.
And it's just really hard,
Yeah. Yeah.
really,
Absolutely.
really hard.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Very difficult. Plenty of difficult situations in our families, in our, with our friends or colleagues or employees, or and then in the wider world. And in a way, I think when we each can do our little bit, in our practices, or in sessions like this, that makes a difference, because that is I often have this image of like put a pebble in a pond. So if you throw a pebble in a pond, it has a ripple effect. So if you take a moment of a little conflict in a family, in our lives, usually they're not worldwide issues, but are more, relatively small issues. But if we can, solve them or work with them, we create a ripple effect of positive energy that then, spreads out to our neighbors or our husbands or children or friends or people around us, the people of our lives. And that is, in a way, how I see that we create a little bit more positive energy in our world, which is needed. We can all see what happens when we don't. So it's yeah. So I just want to appreciate you all for taking the time to do that, because that is what helps. So we can actually rejoice. Yeah, take a moment to rejoice in our actions, in taking the time to do this and to make a difference. Yeah. So in some of these, so I think some of these, like Buddhist methods, I don't know, some of them have practiced maybe for many years, or Buddhism is a bit more new. I think it's always good to bring it. I hear a lot of echo. Is it okay if I mute you, Annie? I don't know if that helps. Yeah, I just muted you. Sorry, because there's a lot of echo. Do you hear that too? No, just me. What was I saying? Yeah, we can in a way rejoice. Rejoicing is a very powerful practice, like rejoice in our own practice, our own efforts. And also here, because we are a little community, a little group here, we can rejoice in each other's efforts and each other's, movements, in each other's relationships, where that makes a difference. So, any final comments or questions? No. Because otherwise, it's good to dedicate the positive energy. So we can take a moment to dedicate the positive energy before we do our closing prayers. Dedicate the positive energy towards our own development, the development of our own inner sense of peace and happiness, towards the development of our own highest potential. It's also dedicated to the people we mentioned, or we discussed, or we worked with, to send some positive energy towards them. And then eventually, let's dedicate it to the well-being of all living beings. So, and Louis, you want to share the screen and do the closing, the dedication prayers. Great. So let's do this first in English and then in Tibetan. You can keep muted and do them out loud. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. Lama Sangye Drova Chikyang Malupa Dei Sala Gepacho. Then next. Changchup Sam Chok Rinpoche Makye Panam Kye Gyuchik Kye Wanyam Pame Payang Kong Ne Kong Du Pelwa Shok. May the Supreme Jewel Bodhicitta that has not arisen, arise and grow. Can you just put it back one? Louis? Yeah, thanks. May the Supreme Jewel Bodhicitta that has not arisen, arise and grow. And may that which has arisen not diminish, but increase forever, increase more and more. Thank you. Yes, next one, please. A long life prayer of Lama Zopa Rinpoche. Let's do it in English first. You who upholds the subduer's moral way, who serve as the bountiful bearer of all, sustaining, preserving, and spreading Manjunath's victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplish magnificent prayer, honoring the three jewels. Savior of myself and others, your disciple, please, please live long. Let's do it in Tibetan as well. Tup tu chang zen jong gang yel me ten zing yang pel ve kun so dok po ze chung sum kur me leg ma tun rup Padak sol du je gundu zap tan cho. The final one, His Holiness. Let's do it in English. The wish-granting, wish-fulfilling jewel, source of every single benefit and happiness in this world, to the incomparable kind Tenzin Gyatso, I beseech, may all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. Thank you, Louis. Let's stop the screen share. So thank you everyone for being here, doing this today. Without you, we couldn't do it. So I'll be back here the same time next week, 10 o'clock in Santa Fe. So I look forward to see you then. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so very much.